Hey everyone, welcome. So today, we're going to do something a little different. We're not just going to memorize English phrases, okay? We're actually building a real-life conversational toolkit. To do that, we're going to follow a student through a typical day and see just how a few simple, key phrases can help us connect with people and, make getting around a whole lot easier.
I mean, it's a question we all ask ourselves, right? You're in a new place, you're surrounded by new people, and you just think, how do I even start? Well, the answer is actually way simpler than you might think. It's all built on these small but really powerful exchanges that we're about to take apart piece by piece.
All right, first things first, every conversation starts with that one single step. So this first part of our day, it's all about those crucial first few moments. Turning a total stranger into a friendly face.
Okay, so picture this. You've just gotten to school. You see another student and they look maybe a little lost, kind of like you feel. It's totally silent. So what's the very first tool you pull out of your kit? Yep, it's that simple, classic greeting.
Now, the really powerful part here is that second bit, how about you? See, this isn't just being polite. It's like a conversational tennis match. You're hitting the ball right back to them. It shows you're not just answering a question and walking away. You're actually interested in them. You're basically saying, hey, I see you and I want to hear what you have to say.
So what's really going on here? You're opening a channel for communication. When you ask that question back, you're basically saying, yep, I'm open to talking, the line is clear. Without that simple little return volley, a conversation can just die before it even gets a chance to start. It's absolutely the foundational step.
Okay, so the channel's open. You've both signaled that you're ready to talk. So what's next? Let's check out the next tool in our kit that takes you from being complete strangers to, well, something more.
And again, look at this. The magic is in that tiny little word, to. It mirrors what the other person just said, and it validates their gesture. It's literally like a verbal handshake, right? You're confirming that, hey, the good feeling is mutual. That one simple phrase makes the other person feel heard, and it makes them feel welcome.
And this just shows the power we're talking about, doesn't it? In literally a few seconds, with just two super simple exchanges, you've gone from total silence, from being anonymous, to having a real, named, friendly connection. Boom. You've broken the ice.
All right, so you've made that first connection. Awesome. Now it's time to pull out some different tools from our kit for a totally different purpose, navigating your surroundings. This is all about using conversation to figure out your schedule, your location, and maybe most importantly, to find some common ground.
So asking about class, this is such a great tool for finding something you share. I mean, yeah, on the surface, it's just about logistics. But what you're really asking is, hey, what do we have in common? Finding that one shared thing, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a subject you both hate, that is a total shortcut to building a real connection.
This one. This is like the universal key to a quick conversation. Asking for the time. It's so simple, so practical, and it's a great way to have a really brief, low-stakes chat. It's a safe question, You don't have to reveal anything personal, but it still creates this little moment of cooperation. It helps you manage your day, and it connects you to someone even for just a second.
Feeling lost can make you feel kind of helpless, but just knowing how to ask for directions, that gives you back control. This phrase isn't just about finding a room. It's about being able to confidently ask for help and trusting that people will guide you. It's basically your compass for any new place you find yourself in.
Okay, so we've connected and we've navigated. Now it's time to get things done. This part of the day is all about using language as a tool to accomplish real tasks. Everything from buying a snack to borrowing a book.
Think about buying something at a shop. There's a really clear, predictable structure, and that's why it works so well. First, you ask for info. How much is this? Then you make your request. Please give me one of those. And finally, you complete the deal. Here you are. This logical flow just makes everything smooth and easy for both people.
But what happens when you're not talking to a shopkeeper? What if you need something from a classmate? Well, the whole dynamic shifts, right? It's less about a simple transaction and way more about cooperation and, just being polite.
The magic word here is can. Using can turns it into a respectful question, not a demand. And what that does is it gives the other person the power to say yes or no. And by giving them that choice, you actually make it way more likely that they'll want to help you out.
It's a little bit of psychology right there. And this just goes to show knowing how to ask for something is just as important as knowing an answer. This one tool lets you tap into all the resources around you,
building this little network of support with the people you see every single day.
Of course, once you make these connections, you've got to maintain them, and that means checking in. But look here, there are two really different ways to do that. On one hand, asking about homework, that builds your connection over a shared duty. But on the other hand, asking, "How are you feeling?" Well, that deepens the connection on a much more personal human level. And a really good toolkit, it's got to have both.
So as our students' day starts to wrap up, you can really see how all these little phrases aren't just random lines you have to memorize. They all fit together. They form a complete, super versatile toolkit that you can use in pretty much any situation.
You know, every conversation has to end, but someone who's really good at talking knows that a good ending doesn't just stop things. It actually sets the stage for the next conversation. And that brings us to our final and maybe one of the most important tools in the kit.
This is just such a great way to say goodbye. Think about it. See you tomorrow. That's a promise, right? It says this isn't the end, it's just a pause. And then you add, take care. That just adds this layer of real warmth, ending the whole chat on such a positive, memorable note.
And there it is. That's your starter kit. Let's run through it real quick. We started by opening the door with a greeting and an introduction. Then we figured out how to navigate our world by asking about class, time, and location. After that, we made things happen at the shop with polite requests. And finally, we kept those connections strong by checking in on homework and health. And we learned to say goodbye in a way that builds a bridge to the next day.
So you have the tools. They're simple, they're powerful, and they are ready to go. The only thing left to do now is to pick one up and start. So my question for you is, what's the next conversation you're going to start?